Well, if it's Friday, it must be the About Mansfield Consumer Advice Series. Hello, I'm Steve Casillo, your host, and today we are in the studio with Phillip Washington Jr. He is actually right over there, over my left shoulder, and let me turn your mic on there too, so people can hear you.
Howdy.
Howdy. And Phillip, Mardi Gras over. You got the beads at home. Was it a good one?
It was a good one, and my wife is already like, I wonder what Easter decorations are out there.
Easter.
She's already like skipped ahead to the next next holiday.
So it's you're not planning next year's Mardi Gras yet.
No, we still have Easter, then Juneteenth. I don't remember what comes before Juneteenth. Then
Mother's Day.
Mother's Day, and I don't know if she had a big decorative thing for that. Maybe she will. I hope she does for Father's Day. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I take care of her for Mother's Day.
There you go.
She takes care of me for Father's Day, but I don't know if it's going to be big decorations. We'll see.
Well, let's start getting into talking about your money, your wealth, your retirement, your the business of money. And today we're talking about the future of the automobile industry, and let's just get right into it. And
Yeah.
what I kind of have an idea of what the future is, but I want to. You're the expert, so I want to know what you're thinking. What is the future of the automobile industry?
No, definitely. And so the idea came about when I was at the dealership yesterday, waiting hours for an oil change, and I was talking to my service guy, and we got into talking about Teslas. And what I explained, and I said, because we were he's talking about different cars that had a EV and all that kind of stuff, and I said, what most people don't realize about Tesla, and I think you and I covered this in a previous episode, that it's actually not a car company. It's a battery storage company and an artificial intelligence company, meaning think about what the iPhone storage did 12 years ago and how much it could store now. It's light years, can store more energy for longer, and which allows you to do more on it. And so, and just like, we'll stick there for a second. And then artificial intelligence part is the future, oil in the ground or oil reserves is going to be data, right? Because data is how you train artificial intelligence to get smarter and smarter and smarter and smarter. Think of data like books, right? If somebody's read 1,000 books on a specific topic like driving or finance, and you've read one, you're not gonna be that smarter than the person, right? And by the way, if that person is reading, if your capacity is reading 200 books a year and that person is reading 200 books a year, but they started at 1,000, you started at one, you're just never going to catch that person. And the knowledge they have will compound. And so when you think about Tesla's advantage, it's like nobody's going to beat their AI. And from an energy storage standpoint, nobody's gonna beat them on that. And so what it does to the automobile industry, you have all these companies that are saying, oh, look at pull this up, look at our new electric vehicle, whatever. The nerds that understand AI and battery technology are like, but you're never going to catch Tesla. It's like somebody trying to compete with Apple, right? I mean, you have Android and you have Apple in the smartphone space, but you really only have Apple, right? Android users are just rebels without a cause.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just rebels without a cause. But let's say you still have two legit. That's really it. That's all you have. So in the car space, you have I forget the company, NIO in China, right? And you have Tesla. Tesla's better, but China, and they're competing in China. But China's going to rig it to to where NIO wins, which makes sense because that's their home country deal, right? And that makes sense. But you're going to have two, and what's going to end up happening is if you're Chevy, Acura, whatever, if there's they may try to compete because maybe they don't understand what I'm saying, but they'll eventually have to just license the software and become app developers on top of Tesla's platform, to build cars, because you're still going to have people who love GM, who love Ford, who love Acura, and they don't really care what's under the hood or how it runs. and they're gonna have to license the Tesla, and so that they can, keep their base happy and not get completely smoked.
Well, and don't some of the car manufacturers, they pull parts from manufacturers from all over the world? It happens to be manufactured in Detroit or wherever, but they're pulling parts from all over the world and from different manufacturers, aren't they?
Yeah, so them using Tesla battery at this point is probably ego and or ignorance of like the facts, but they're gonna have to use the battery and they're gonna have to use their software, which has all the data they use from all the drivers, from 10 plus years of their drivers on the road, driving tons of miles a year, feeding that information into the computer so that Tesla can make the experience better and better and better. So yeah, they'll eventually use it.
Here's a question that I was listening to one of your podcasts actually just a couple of days ago, and you were talking about how Tesla would be able to pull that data from every driver, and you were talking about car insurance, and so if Ford were to use the Tesla software to get it, who's gathering that data from a Ford vehicle? Is it going to Ford or is it going to Tesla?
So great question.
That's why I'm the host.
Yeah, I maybe they'll work out some sort of agreement. I don't know, but if I froze the current model of, like, for example, Facebook, when you advertise on Facebook, if you're a business and you're advertising on Facebook to their customers, even though it's on your page and it's on your business, you don't get that data. Facebook gets that data.
That's true.
And so, if they do it at the and by the way, there's nothing that you as an advertiser can do about it because because they have the people. And so same with Ford. Ford doesn't really. They don't have any bargaining chips. Tesla's like, cool, we'll just sell more cars than you, or we'll just use somebody else who doesn't really want the data because we don't want to give you the data because the data is the goal. And we spent, and Tesla spent 10 years being ridiculed, short-sold, bleeding money, doing everything they can to build this. Why would they just give away that data like for free, even if it's on your cars? Because they don't need Ford.
Right.
Ford dies without Tesla's software.
And so with AI, it's already it's a better driving experience for the humans, is it?
Yeah, so this is the interesting part, and I think there's an episode coming out in the future that Suzanne and I talked about, where we were talking about once you understand what AI can do. AI, don't think of AI in terms of one intelligence, like one car being smarter um, than a human. It's like when it's really set up, if no human drivers are driving and there's all cars on the road driven by AI, right? The cars talk to each other, right? And the cars are what makes it safe because they're always looking at the road, right? And they're going to be talking, saying, hey, you're too close, you're too far, we're going to go, if you go this way, I go that way. And they can communicate at a like split second. It's the reason, like, you think about why we use calculators versus humans, because calculators don't make mistakes. 2 plus 2 will always be 4 in a calculator. And so that's possible with artificial intelligence today. The only reason why we're not using it is to get everybody off the road. I mean, look at how tough it was to to enforce mask mandates, right, in America. So imagine telling people you can't drive, right? There's like the age problem of people just being wedded to the old ideas of, oh, but I got to drive. Okay, yeah, you used to ride a horse to work too. You know what I mean? But that changed. And so you got to, this will come over time.
It's a generational thing.
It's a generational thing, but the tech is already there.
Right. That great grandparents rode a horse. Maybe my grandparents were in the car driving era.
Mm-hmm.
So the people that are in their 20s and 30s and even younger will be growing up into an artificial intelligence generation
where cars drive themselves, and we don't have to concern ourselves with the menial task of driving.
Where drones deliver your Starbucks coffee to your home.
Absolutely, right. And
you don't have to wait a half an hour.
And you just push your watch, step outside. It's already programmed to where you're going with where you need to be, and it's there. Like, the tech is already there, and it's only getting better.
So how does this affect then ride sharing?
Yeah, so speaking of Uber, Lyft, they're going to have to license Tesla software as well, right? Because and you already kind of got a glimpse of it where you saw Hertz buying the fleet of Tesla cars earlier. Was it this year or last year? Forget when it was. But they're going to opt to buy Tesla fleet cars and or incorporate their software into what they're doing because, when you look at the big profitability problem of Uber and Lyft, it's the people, right? If you eliminate paying the people, then they're profitable, right? Minus whatever Tesla charges for them using their software, but it's probably going to be cheaper than paying drivers, a lot cheaper than paying drivers. And again, it's a win for Uber and Lyft. It's a win for Tesla, right? People think, but the poor drivers, well, they don't even. I mean, they're not really making that much money anyway. I like to use the analogy of everybody thought when we invented ATM machines, banks were going to need less tellers, and they had more tellers since then. So,
Right.
we'll continue to reinvent ourselves as humans. We always think, oh no, we're done doing jobs. No, we just don't do jobs that are that we hate. We do less and less jobs that we hate as we evolve over time. Because I would hate to have been a calculator. Speaking of, human hidden figures, which is, my son's going to watch next week. They've been tough being a calculator.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, literally, you're a calculator.
So to recap, the wave of the future, artificial intelligence, it's the battery-powered Tesla.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about the service center. That's the last part.
The service center.
Because for automobile companies, the biggest profit center, most people don't know, is the service part. And this is me and my service guy got on this. And he's like, well, yeah, man, that means my job is going to be over. And I was like, no, because what ends up happening is I'm still going to need a consultant to educate me on all the upgrades that Tesla puts in my car. And instead of being mad at you for coming back here and making me pay, $2,000 to replace my oil filter pan or whatever I got to pay, right? I'm not going to need that, but you're going to come and say, hey, Phillip, Tesla allows you to, I'm just making up something, like buy Bitcoin whenever you want and with an automated voice, instruction. If you upgrade your software package to X, right, which it might be an Acura built app in the system that allows us to add that to our payment package, right? And I will gladly pay that, right? And I'm going to need to talk to you every quarter to figure out what all this stuff means and how to use it and what's new. And I would gladly pay for that, right? And then Acura makes money, like you make money. I was like, heck, you probably would be happier because you only got to have 50 or 100 clients that you just service, and we're going to gladly pay you money because the car's just a big ass smartphone.
Right. It is.
Yeah.
It is. Now you can get into your car and you go, hey Siri, what are the directions to the nearest Starbucks? And there it is.
Exactly.
It comes up on your car.
Exactly.
If people have questions about not only cars and AI and Tesla and batteries and general financial questions, how can they get a hold of Phillip Washington Jr.?
Best way is website stonehillwealthmanagement.com has my podcast information, how to book an appointment, a link to book an appointment, my background, everything you need to know. stonehillwealthmanagement.com.
And check it out. It's also on the background. Right behind his right shoulder would be Wealth Building Made Simple. That is Phillip's podcast. Comes out every day.
Basically every day, yeah.
Every day.
Every day.
Phillip, we'll see you next week.
See you next week. Thanks, Steve.